All right, let's head out to that studio in the sky where we've got Wazzup Dude, otherwise known as Sean to his friends and family, but to the internet world, the Wazzup Dude. He's out of Illinois. And if my, we'll call it my Sherlock Holmes ability is at all canny, he's near the Romeoville, Illinois area. How you doing today there, Wazzup Dude?
Not too bad. Yeah, you're right. We have Romeoville. We actually have Route 66 right along Romeoville. It's actually part of the spots that people miss.
Now, do you live in Romeoville?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So, that is it's in Will County, which is the
hmm
the third county over from the start of Cook County with the Navy Pier or the Art Institute or Lou Mitchell's Diner, depending on which era of start did you want to go on. Did you know there was different ways to start the Route 66 officially? Kind of Lou Mitchell's
Yeah,
Diner, that
they
giant.
changed it.
Go ahead.
Now there's Navy Pier. There's the original sign, so you can kind of branch off on multiple places. But then it is kind of confusing because you have different ways you can travel. You can go down the 1920s road and then the 1946. So it's like you can almost get lost because you don't know which one you're going down unless you use like an app or something that tells you where to go.
So you could probably do the start in three different ways because if you do the
Yep.
original, you probably start at Lou Mitchell's Diner, and then if you do the 1940 something, you probably start at the Art Institute by the Lion or whatever is out front, and then if you do the modern day, you start at the Navy Pier. So
Yep.
you kind of can do your start and then go down each route as you see fit. Have you ever driven the entire route, or are you just more familiar with the Illinois?
No, just Illinois. Right now, yeah, my channel's not large enough where I can fund that myself. I have to do my job and film, so it's kind of hard to do both. So when on my days off, I normally travel, and I do other things too. I travel pretty much everywhere, but Route 66, I've done a lot of videos on specific things and specific events that people had.
Well, that was how I found you. We're going to be broadcasting in Romeoville, actually, and you're more than welcome to join us. It's going to be at the Beller Museum, which is just right off Route 66, but it's a kind of a Route 66 icon, Jordan Beller. He has the
Yep.
vintage auto museum there with the Fords, and so we'll a few of the places that we're going to broadcast at will be a block or two off Route 66, but their connection to Route 66 is part of that story. And you
Yep.
mentioned that Romeoville is often overlooked. Why is that, do you think?
So the town itself, there's a lot of restaurants, but they don't actually like connect themselves with Route 66.
Oh,
There's a couple that do. So like White Fence Farm, that's the biggest one. That's been around since like 1920, and they have a museum inside, but their hours kind of cause a bit of an issue because they don't open till 4. So a lot of people that travel the road are already gone and off that road by the time they open. So there's not a lot of people that end up there. And they have the Route 66 sign out in the front of the restaurant and everything, but they, it's owned by some elderly couple, and then their kids. And if I feel like if they reposition the hours that were open, they'd have more foot traffic.
man, they could run a hot dog stand out front and probably make more money during the day than they do at night opening at 4 o'clock. And no offense to them, you know what I
Yeah,
mean? But your point is correct that one of the overwhelmingly um, universal comment I hear from people who drive Route 66 is they start early in Chicago and they get the heck out of urban society as quick as they can. They want to get to the smaller towns, the cobblestone highway where they can slow down and they don't have to worry about all the congestion. And in my mind, at least the last Chicago is just a horrendous traffic because of Joliet actually with the distribution center.
yeah,
And it wasn't until, so this is a true story. So, I was probably in my mid 20s. I used to travel quite a bit. I was a publisher. And so I would drive all over the U.S. 42 weeks a year for a couple of years, 36 weeks a year for a couple of years, and so I drive through Chicago a lot. And Chicago, I always voted as the worst traffic in the United States because you'd be driving, 5, 6 lanes, whatever it is. You're going through tunnels and you're just surrounded by semis going 90
Yep.
miles an hour. So it literally, you have zero control over your life. You have
Yep.
control over 4 semis driving along, boxing you in, and their ability to navigate the road going 90 miles an hour. That scares the crap out of you if you're not used to that. And the only place that's worse than that is Houston, Texas, that I've experienced. And
Oh, wow.
I've been to every state except Alaska in the United States, and including Hawaii. Um, Oh, Houston's horrible. That's it's like Chicago on
Yeah.
steroids. Oh, seriously, I woke up at 4 in the morning, 3 in the morning, trying to get out of town to try to beat the traffic in Houston, and I was literally 3 hours of driving, white knuckle driving, because it's just all the time. It's just all the time. Anyway, that's not what we're here to talk about. You're certainly not an official ambassador for Romeoville, but you've lived there and you understand it a little bit. You mentioned the white picket fence, I believe, or the white farm.
It's the
Uh,
white fence fair.
yeah, as one of the main attractions. Are there any other places that people like to stop in Romeoville?
So they have the Beller Auto Museum. That's the one that was actually one of my first videos when I started, and I accidentally found it online. I was just looking for something to do, and I saw it, and not a lot of people knew about it, and I went to film it, and then that's where I figured out, oh, I actually there's something to this filming stuff because I filmed them and I had like 300,000 views just from their little spot. And I'm like, okay, well, there must be something to this. Um, and then the other one would be they have Fat Ricky's. That's a pizza joint that's there. That's right off Route 66.
Fat
I did.
Ricky's.
Yep, that is a pizza joint in Romeoville that we have, and they have like the cobblestone building, old. It like they redid it to make it look historic, and they have amazing. It's like almost like brick oven pizza, but it's really good. I did a food review on them, but it's right off of Route 66, and that's a
So
place.
you're kind of stumbling into the popularity of Route 66 a little bit just by geographical location and
Yep.
um, um, throw yeah, in the media a lot of times we'll call topics just throwing spaghetti against the wall, see what sticks. And
Yep.
maybe you're doing food reviews, maybe you're doing museum. You're just trying out different things. And oh, look at this Ford Museum of the Beller Museum. Holy smokes, look at that. Well, it's connected to Route 66, but also the guy who runs it's in like 47 different car associations across the United States.
Yep.
So you get a couple of them to share it, and yeah, it blows up pretty quick. Your name, the Wazzup dude, your age, I imagine you're in your 20s.
No, I'm actually gonna be turning 38 in June.
38?
Yep.
Wow, you look really young, man.
Yeah, I got a fountain in my backyard. No, I'm just kidding.
All
Um,
right, look at you, Ponce de Leon of Illinois. No, I thought you were in your late 20s, to be honest.
no, no. But yeah, there was up, dude. So I was, I was born in the 80s, but then I was a kid in the 90s, and that was one of the hugest taglines. Is that was up that commercial, the Budweiser commercial, and I always thought it was funny, and so I was like, you know what, let me use this, and then I came up with the "Was Up, Dude," and it's kind of catchy.
Definitely a popular. Sorry, my phone unplugged or my headphones unplugged there for just a second. I got you back here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, of course. Was that the Bud Light ad? Was that is that what
Yeah,
you're
it
talking about?
was.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, and then they used it in the Scary Movie.
Oh,
They
that's
used that
right.
as
They
the
did.
comedy.
Great movie, by the way. I only saw
Yeah,
the first and half of maybe. I'm sure I finished the second, but it just I kind of gave up
yeah.
after that. Good franchise though. Just
Oh
you know
yeah,
you get busy in life. If you're in your 30s, you understand. You get busy with life, and pretty soon your time becomes your most precious commodity. You start
yeah,
evaluating what you do with your time a lot more, and with your interests. And let's get back to the Wazzup, dude. Your YouTube channel. You're finding some good success here with the Route 66 and just some things with Romeoville and just kind of being an ambassador for certain areas. What's your plan with the channel? You just kind of want to just throw spaghetti at the wall, or like when I was talking to the Wise Guys channel, John Wise out of Wichita. He's a track coach at Wichita. He said what sums it up great. YouTube likes you to stay in your lane, so he had to start a second channel because his travel
yeah,
channel, they kind of they brand you, and then if you try to bring them too many, if you're a jack of all trades, you're screwed, right? You got to get a
yeah,
Spotify account like Joe. You got to get a Spotify agreement like Joe Rogan to be a jack of all trades. When you're on YouTube, you got to stay in your lane, man. So, what's your
yeah.
plans and what's your thoughts on with the YouTube channel?
I mean, right now, with having to work, so I have a 7-year-old son. So, like, pretty much with my work, just whatever I find that's affordable and easy to get to, I'll pretty much film pretty much anything. I want to at one point, because it's growing. So I just hit over 3,000 subscribers on YouTube just recently. So if it gets higher and I get to the point where I start seeing revenue come in, I don't know if you've heard of Carpetbagger. Obviously, you probably heard of Adam the Woo, who unfortunately passed away recently. Those are some big YouTubers that they don't even have to work anymore. Their job is literally going out and they make, six figures going out and making videos, and YouTube pays them for their views and their advertise. When people watch ads, they pretty much that's their job is going and traveling the world. So that's the overall dream that I have. I don't know if it'll happen. I'm just kind of here for the ride to see what if. But until then, I'll do my full time job, make the money that way, and have fun on my days off and just show people what's out there.
Yeah, it's so it's more of a hobby right now.
Yeah,
That hopefully, it's funny because what I did was, we got the media's changed so much. You can go back to 2008 during the very first big too big to fail bailouts to where there was a lot of money given to the banks, and then they in turn gave to the tech companies, which created social media. And so a lot of the social media world was giving away the newspapers and magazines information for free, which basically created it's called a paradigm shift, where such a shift in the world happens where 90 to 95% of the newspapers declared bankruptcy within a 5-year period. And then, so when you take a look at, how things change and how much the world has shifted, a lot of people in the media, with me included, we're basically went from a full-time media job to, okay, now it's my part-time job, to how can I turn it into my hobby job? Because
yeah,
it's, yeah, because, a guy in Romeo, Illinois with a cell phone can call himself Wazzup dude and have a media company. And that's a reality. And there's nothing
yep,
wrong with that. I think it's fantastic. And so that's why, like, for me personally, this Route 66 thing, the peer-to-peer podcast, part of it is me getting out of the media and into a different world, into a different career,
yep,
because the media has changed so much. And you're probably realizing this a little bit too, that in order to be successful in the media world, and it's more relevant today than ever, You need to have like 6 different forms of income coming in on that sucker, and for a lot
Yeah.
of people, it's a full time job. For others, it's okay. I got some YouTube money coming in. I got some TikTok money coming in. Maybe I got a sponsor or two. Maybe I got some subscribers, and you know what I mean. You got to have like 6 different revenue streams coming in to make those types of things work. Unless, of course, you got one check person writer that writes it
Yep.
out. And you probably aren't old enough to remember Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom. It was a
I've heard of
nature
it.
show. Yeah, it was a nature show, but the advertiser was so smart they just wrote a check for the whole thing and said, "We'll just put it in the title. Mutual of
Oh
Omaha's
wow.
Wild Kingdom." Yeah, they're an insurance company. I mean, like insurance and securities. And I mean, if you want to buy trust, buy a program that airs Sunday night with animals. That's a great way to get people to trust you, man. and
Yeah.
you don't have to sell them 1 ounce of insurance. Just the name does the whole thing. And so, anyway, different ways of doing it, different things along those lines. What is your channel? How can people find it?
So it's on YouTube. That's the main. That's the biggest one. And then I have TikTok and Facebook. So it's when you type in the Wazzup with 2 Z's, dude, you'll be able to find it. So I'm pretty much all over social media. Um, but yeah, and I have business cards available that I pass out, and I've realized that to actually like grow, you have to have connections because I've talked to the owners of like the Pink Elephant. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but that's in I can't remember what the town was, but I went through there and it's like a antique store. I met the owner of that place, talked to him, and then I just met Joel Baker. Um, he's in Atlanta, Illinois. He actually owns most of the majority of like the big giants, like all those statues you
Yep.
see on Route
Yep.
66. He owns a majority of those things. So I got to meet him. I took photos with him, gave him my card. So I'm getting my name out there slowly by meeting these people that are already involved in Route 66. And the more things I do like that and meet these people that are connected, I've noticed that my channel spikes because they're like, oh, that he's doing some cool stuff, and then they tell other people, and then it grows.
That's how it works. That is definitely how it works. And that's that was one of the strategies with the with what we're doing was we started the Route 66 Americana archive basically from scratch,
Mm-hmm.
with the idea that it would grow along the trip. That when
Yep.
you're doing 2 to 3 hour roadside recording stops, that the people that show up that want to be a part of it, and again, you're more than welcome to join us and throw you on the air too and comment a little bit, maybe even have you be a co-host, that type of thing. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, and that's what we're trying to do, and then from there, just kind of keep growing it, and then that way, the people that want to, stay relevant with your content, well, hopefully, they can follow you, and the people that following you that want to stay relevant to 66 and they like what we're doing. That's how it works, and it's very good like that. It's a lot of these content creators. If you can find the ones who like to, I call it shared content, where you just keep it out there and you share it and you repurpose it and you just constantly try to promote each other. It works out. It does work out. It just, yeah, it's as simple as life's about momentum. So either you're going forward or backwards. And
Yeah.
sometimes, if you're treading water and you're staying in the same place, you do have to ask yourself if the tide's going, if the world's passing by you, or you're kind of laying in the weeds a little bit and waiting for the opportunity to strike. And so,
Yeah.
but
YouTube's a little difficult though because I've noticed. So I'll film something and I think it's gonna do big and I think it's gonna be amazing and it doesn't. But then I film something. There's times I've filmed things where it was a spur of the moment, just like a side road attraction. I'm like, oh well, I'll film it because it looks cool. It won't probably do much, and then all of a sudden, bam, and then it kicks off and people love it, and I'm like, how did this little tiny, like, there's food reviews I've done of places that I've never heard of, and all of a sudden it gets massive amount of views, and I'm like, how did this little hole in the wall get all these views?
Sometimes those little holes in the walls are working their butt off, and so they're sharing it and emailing it and sending it to people. Whereas the other people, they're like, "Oh yeah, of course you're going to do something on us. Of course you are." There's
Yeah.
depends on it's. Oh, let's see. One of my buddies calls it the untouchables, and another one calls it the entitlement class, and it's just the way it is, type of a thing. There are people out there that are hustlers, and people out there that are all right. Come to me,
Yeah.
type of thing. But uh, so do you have a favorite Route 66 location or one that you really want people to check out?
So far, the most that I've really done with is the pink elephants. We actually drove down there. So my dad loves Route 66 too. We took a trip down there, and they had a Bigfoot festival. And so it was this festival. It was celebrating the centennial, but also like they had people that were like talking about Bigfoot sightings and their experiences and and they had like food vendors and like little shops and stuff, and then you could explore the antique store, and they actually had a Bigfoot statue made specifically for their spot, and like it's massive. Like the thing, I think it's like 9 feet tall, and then it's just the whole place is wacky because they have like all these giants. They even have a Donald Trump statue for some reason in there. Like it's just one of those things you walk into and you're like, this is the weirdest place I've ever seen, but it's amazing.
How was the Bigfoot Festival?
Pretty good. So they had, I mean, there were some speakers that they kind of just rambled, and you're like, okay, well, you saw somebody that maybe saw something, but you're not really sure. Then there's people like, oh yeah, I spotted Bigfoot before, and then they were kind of captivating, like, oh yeah, this actually happened, and it makes you feel like, oh, maybe there's something to this. And it was just there was a massive amount of people there. It was, and then they had people dressed up as Bigfoot running around and just goofing off and having fun, and
But it
uh,
was well attended.
oh yeah, very well attended.
I figured
It was
as
packed.
much. I mean, the popularity of Ancient Aliens and Joe Rogan and um, I mean, I don't know if you know this, but that Ancient Alien show on History Channel, they travel. They have a traveling
Yeah.
road show. Yeah. And
Oh,
people,
everywhere.
yeah, people come out and listen to these four guys talk about different alien type things. And oh, yeah, that's why I figured it would be really well attended, that Bigfoot convention. It would pique my,
Yep.
if I was still working at a newspaper or magazine, I'd be raising my hand so fast to cover that thing. I love the type of stuff, that
Yep.
so much more exciting than the city hall meeting.
Oh yeah, definitely.
um, and what town was that in?
That's I think Livingston, Illinois,
Sure, sure, okay.
I believe.
Livingston, okay. Well, that sounds all right. Well, all right, man. We'll have to let you get back to work here pretty soon. Is it your lunch break? Is that what's going on?
Yeah, yeah. I work for Frito Lay, so I do this full time and deliver chips on the road. And then on my days off, I pretty much go out and film.
Well, how about that? Well,
Yep.
I'll send you a link to our schedule, and if there's a day where you can join us along the route, we'd be more than happy to have you. We're having, like I said, June 1st is when we're starting, and then basically
Okay.
every day we're going to do a different county. Um, the different. It's going to be a structured show. It's going to be basically like 15-minute interval slots, so that way we can
Yeah.
that way we can change up the topics. Even if the guests stay the same, we're going to change the topics up, and I'm going to slap their
Gotcha.
hands a little bit because, we're producing them for some different areas and that kind of stuff. And quite
Yeah.
honestly, I prefer to have a little bit more structure to my shows when I'm out there rather than just kind of free flow it. Because when people start repeating themselves, time to wrap up. Okay, we're into
Yep.
reruns here. We're into reruns.
Definitely.
Kind of a, and I'm not saying that's what we did by any means, but that's just kind of that was always kind of
That
the,
happens.
yeah, well, it's just kind of back in the day when time mattered because you only had 24 hours in a day and everything was live and we didn't have on demand programming. The world was different. But when you look at what dominates the online, it's live programming. Doesn't matter if it's a conference or the Super Bowl or a concert. When there's a piece of live programming, it demands the attention. That's one of the reasons why we're going to try to do the peer-to-peer podcast live and then put it out for record later. But why not live stream it? I mean, heck,
Yeah.
people like it. It seems to be what, I don't know. People seem to be watching it while they're at work, so why not? If it's there. But anyway, so you're doing that. Okay, so you got Frito-Lay, huh? You're out delivering along the route. So you distribute Frito-Lay along Route 66 then?
I did. My old route was right on the road. Actually, there was a couple like what was it? I think it's Hey Hot Dog or something.
Okay.
Um, it was out in Cicero.
Cicero.
So yeah, Cicero. So I had a couple stops, and Navi's beef. They were on Chicago's Best, so I was right next to there. So like I was passing through. Now I'm in a different area, so I don't really go over there anymore. But it was kind of interesting that my job put me right along where I was filming at, like stuff that I film at anyway. And I was like, oh, this is the weirdest coincidence I've ever seen.
Is there a decent place to get a double play or a shaved beef with a hot Italian sausage sandwich? I've only known it called a
Oh yeah,
double play. It's probably called something
yeah.
else, but
Navi's, yeah, Navi's out in Cicero. They have something like that.
okay. And
They have some good food.
Cicero now. The only thing I know about Cicero is from Saul Goodman when he said the Catholic nuns would have a field day. So um,
Yeah,
I'm not sure how to interpret that, except there's probably a lot of Roman Catholics in Cicero.
yeah. There's a lot of churches out there,
Is there okay?
but
Is it
it's
what is it kind of
literally
an old school mafia town or something?
not really. Just a lot of it's just an old school town. Like all the buildings are kind of older.
Mm-hmm.
There's a couple that are like run down that used to be something, but they're not there anymore.
Is it Italian or Greek or is there any sort of Irish? Is there any sort of dominant cultural heritage there?
Yeah, I think a lot of them are Italians.
Okay,
A
that
lot,
would make sense
a lot of
with the
churches.
sandwiches. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
The
but
Italian
yeah,
beef, I guess.
that's like I think if you're traveling 66, like when you go through Chicago, Cicero's like the fourth or fifth town that you would drive through.
Okay. Still Cook
Yeah,
County, correct?
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it'll be interesting. Is there do you have a favorite place though that you've been to along Route 66 that you've either eaten at or stopped at?
Um, Not necessarily a favorite one, but um, so there's on 66. There's it's called Del Reyes Chicken Basket. There's a stop that you go to. They have a buffet between 12 and 3,
Mm-hmm.
and like they have the best. I mean, their chicken's better than um, KFC. Any chicken, they can beat it. It's amazing.
Between the buffet is between 12 and 3.
Yeah, it's kind of a short, or I think 11 and 3. So
Okay, I was
11
going
and
to say if it's
3.
between 12 and 3, it's absolutely genius because a lot of people then between 11 and 12, you got to decide, do I want to wait till 12 or should I get the bucket of chicken and
Yeah,
go? if it's 11:30,
Yeah.
and then between like 1 and 3, that's what most restaurants are like cleaning and getting ready for the dinner crowd. So while they're doing
Yeah.
that, they're just letting people go to the buffet by themselves. Genius.
But
Absolute genius.
that place, yeah, that place is amazing. They like Guy Fieri went there on diners, dive-ins, and drives.
I'll bet you they end up doing a special Route 66 Triple D, um, whether it be a
Yeah,
season
that would be good.
or even a because they got so many Route 66 restaurants they've already done. They could probably just recycle the content and do a special Route 66 show to coincide with the anniversary. But I could see them just going out and hammering 6 or 10 of them
Strike
because
ball.
yeah, a lot of Guy Fieri's production crew lives in Minneapolis and in Albuquerque, and so
Yeah.
yeah, he's got the remote places already taken care of to where they don't have to, do it out of California. They've kind of got it already taken care of. But anyway, well, sir, I appreciate the time today, and like I say, if there's a day on the schedule that meets up that you and your dad or you and your friends want to come on out and join the roadside recording, we'd love to have you and jump you on and be a part of the event. We're going to be handing out some gifts and swag and that's that type of thing for anybody who shows up, and we're just going to kind
Hmm.
of see what happens. You know what I mean? Just let the thing grow organically and let people like yourselves and professionals and Route 66 enthusiasts just kind of share their story and how Route 66 is really, I think it's remarkable because it's a national park at the end of the day. I don't know if you knew that
Yeah.
or not. Did you know that?
No, I've heard that. A lot of times when I'm filming, I read all these signs, like the
Yeah.
official markers, and it tells me all the history and stuff. And I pick up a lot of that. And when I'm doing my videos, I research all the history behind specific places. So that stuff pops up, and I'm like, oh, I didn't know that.
It to me, it's one of the more remarkable pieces of human compromise in American history because
Yeah,
it's essentially protected under the national parks.
yeah,
Okay,
the roads.
the road is right. The road, which is not a living thing. Okay, and these giant statues are not living things, and these restaurants, they're businesses. They're not geysers and canyons and volcanoes, and the fact that there's enough respect for the culture and way of life that was created and value system, quite honestly, the way that people look at Route 66 in a way that people would look at a national park in a protective way is remarkable. It is absolutely
Yeah,
remarkable to me. And when you think about the way that the road, the highway, the national park Route 66, the way it inspires people, it is very much a national park because when
yeah,
you go to national parks, man, artists get inspired in new ways. The same thing happens on Route 66. It inspires people to create industrial art. It inspires people to create one of a kind art. It inspires people to take a look at life in a way that they normally wouldn't look at. Look at how many um, vortexes of energy or just collections of community that come together for dead automobiles sticking out of the earth. You got
hmm,
people, yeah, people are spray painting them. They're putting stickers on it. They're stopping because of the collective energy involved with some rusty old pieces of metal. Fantastic, absolutely. But I grew up in my childhood. Billboards, they were painted. They weren't they were still painted. They weren't digital, or they weren't just wallpaper. Like
yeah,
an artist took a month to make it, and then it would stay up for a year or 10 years because it was a freaking piece of art, but anyway, so I think that to me is one of the more remarkable aspects of Route 66 is that that hippie nonsense existential view that I like to look at it from. And it's funny because it's more of a capitalistic thing than anything. That's why I call it the hippie nonsense. I call myself the hippie capitalist. It was a name somebody gave me once, and I liked it, so I kind of that's call myself under my own breath as far as that. I'm also a Libra, so I balance things back and forth nonstop. But there we go, a little bit about that. One last time, my good man, Wazzup Dude, aka Sean in the real world. How can people get in touch with you, and kind of what do you want people to walk away from the interview on remembering?
Just cherish history. So like a lot like Route 66 and all the things that I try to film, even like museums, like we have to learn from the past. So seeing things as they were in the past and learning from what do we do now with what we're seeing. So that's important. But yeah, they can find me on TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube, and all my content is on all three platforms.
The royalty of Romeoville. Wazzup Dude. The Wazzup Dude. It's like the Ohio State University because you got to put the in front in order to find him on the YouTubes. That's correct. It's the Wazzup Dude.
The Wazzup Dude, two Z's.
I'm the same way. I found if you put the in front of things, it's available for .com, and it's
Yep.
available for handles, and just getting people to type in you can get them to do it. So, all right, man.
Yep.
Well, I appreciate the time today. I'm going to go ahead and hit unrecord now, and we'll talk a little bit off the air. Okay.
All right.